And we're back. It is the Mickey, the Magic, the beautiful game. Welcome once again to your footballing therapy of the weekend. On a day when Liverpool had their goalkeeper score in the very last minute of the game to keep them in the hunt for a Champions League place. On a weekend where we had the FA Cup final take place amidst a whole raft of other games. But don't get me started on that just yet because I feel a real rant coming on. But hey, there's two happy lads with me tonight. And I tell you one thing, it's been a long time coming for these two. So, hiya Stephen, hiya Charlie, you must be delighted.
Yes.
What a man. What a man.
Oh, dear me.
Yes. It was a happy ending to a little bit of a frustrating game.
Yeah, I've got to admit when West Brom scored the opener, I thought, oh, here you go again. Like, you know, it's one of them ones where Big Sam comes and decides he's just going to sneak a goal, park the bus, and then the next thing you know is you're struggling. But good goal by Salah to get you back in the game. And I thought West Brom were going to hang on forever. Or even sneak it. But they didn't.
They had some chances.
Allardyce performance, wasn't it? You know, just the man who just is anti-football in every single way. You know, doesn't know how to make anything entertaining. That's all.
I think that's exactly it. And I know in our very first show we mentioned this, and I know people hate me harping on about it. But the likes of Allardyce and the likes of Tony Pulis, who turn in these teams, you know, and they do play anti-football, and they don't belong there. They really don't. And you know. I'm in a way, it's good to see something like this happen.
Yeah,
Okay, West Brom got relegated, and I think actually they're less. In a way, they're less of a team than when they got promoted back into the Premier League because they used to play football. You know, when Slaven Bilic was the manager, they actually played football, and they were a tough team to beat. Now they're just going through the middle and trying to make football the game that we don't want to watch. It's not beautiful and it's not magical. You know, they're playing a style of football that's just like it's just so rubbish to watch.
It's just trying to keeping them out of regulation, right? That's what they bring them in for.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's just awful to watch. I don't know, but Liverpool, that's what I thought. Thiago played well today, but he still didn't unlock the defence as much as what he's been brought in to do. You know, he was brought in to unlock that kind of defence, you know, but he was first at everything on one of the stats come up. He was first on the pitch for everything. Passes, interceptions, tackles, you know.
He's better. I think he's getting better.
He feels like he's getting into it, doesn't he, Charlie? You know.
Today I felt like, first of all, I started 20 minutes late watching the show. Okay, so because I had to finish our show first, but I think it was Bobby today who was passing to all the wrong people, and when I was like, "What the heck are you doing?" You know, it was before the first 6 weeks or so with Thiago. I was yelling at him for being a step too slow, and so Thiago's starting to pick it up, starting to get on pace. I still don't think he's there fully yet, but he's I'm not yelling at him anymore. Put it that way.
No,
he's, getting better. I just wish, again, with Mane, I think he needs to start charging into the box more and drawing fouls. But it's almost like people aren't calling his fouls anymore. Whenever he gets knocked down, they're just brushing him off because now they see him as a diver, and it is unfortunate. But it's did he bring that upon himself? Maybe. You know, I wish that him and Salah, they have that speed. You got to use it diving into the box. They used to get so many more penalties, penalty calls in their favor, like last season or the season before. It seems like they got like none this season. You know, it feels like that's how it feels like. I was sad to see Thiago out with a little injury there. I wonder.
So was I, because he's in my fantasy football team. I was. I've had the worst fantasy football weekend in the history of mankind. It's just completely ruined me. I should have got Salah back in my team. I'd given up hope on Mo Salah saving me, but I needed him. Him.
I seen a post on Twitter after he got injured with Jota, and someone put a post on about the 10 players that are out injured for Liverpool at the moment. All they're missing is a goalkeeper. All they're missing, and I'll tell you now, the 11 there will probably give the 11 that was on the pitch a good game today. There's that many out.
Hey, I think Millie is that versatile man. He can be their goalkeeper.
Yep. He definitely
can do everything.
Yeah, he definitely could. But that game was hard to watch today. It was hard to watch, but that emotion at the end, I was made up for Alisson at the end.
And that was a quality header too. He had some of those pictures in him midair. He looks like a professional. It's like it was awesome. He's got the height. Yeah, like I said, I saw Klopp gave me a call right after. Charlie, what do you think? I'm gonna put Alisson in for Mane. I'm like, hold off.
See, I was thinking, take Mane off and put Alisson up front, because Mane has not been great this season, and he's been moaning and having a pop at Klopp and that when he's been getting taken off or not starting, but he's not been good enough this year. He's just been so inconsistent and just below his normal standards.
Yeah, they said his conversion rate's down to like 10% now, or it was like 22, 23. Now it's down to 10% conversion rate whenever he gets a shot on goal. And even today, he missed one, should have been at least put on net.
Yeah.
He missed the net. And then I was yelling at the TV and say, "That's why you were benched, buddy."
Yeah.
He doesn't hear me, though. But my daughter does. My daughter's, "Dad, he can't hear you."
No, but it helps with the therapy when someone's
That's right.
Because I usually shout at the telly or the telly gets thrown out the window.
It saves you money, right? It saves you money. Not to buy any telly.
Doing the thing for the environment, Charlie, because it's only going to go to a landfill. It's only going to fill up other people, and people are going to be moaning because you're creating more waste than what for, Play a game night in the footy. No, I was made up with Alisson today. Made up for him to getting that, especially with the year he's had with his dad passing away as well. Yeah. I think, and that interview at the end. I don't know whether you've seen it, Charlie, but definitely, have a look. He did an interview with Sky Sports. And I'll be honest with you, it's one of the best interviews I've seen. It showed him for what he is as a true gentleman, because he stood there and he was talking how hard it was for his dad to go, but he was thanking the wider football family about the contact that they dealt. They even mentioned the manager from across the park,
Everton. Yeah, I heard that. I was like,
nice. It was a great interview, and I think and Graham Souness, who does the commentary, does the punditry over here, he said after it, I think we'll be watching that interview again and again over the next few weeks because it was just brilliant. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But that game went from a frustrating, horrible, I feel like I've sat here for about 10 hours watching this game, to pure ecstatic emotion at the end when he in the back of the net. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The importance of it as well. It was like he was fed up of seeing Mane and Cole squander the chances and said, "Look, boys, move over. This is how you do it."
That's right. I've got to do it myself. Move out of the way.
Does it maybe show that Liverpool are crying out for a big number 9? Just a big lad up front to knock in all. Just one of all them knockdowns. I don't think Origi's the man for it, but. No, a real proper finisher as a number 9. It just, it just sort of rounded it all off nicely, wouldn't it?
Do they even exist anymore, John?
No,
because you're talking about a real old-fashioned number 9 there, aren't you? Yeah. I don't know whether they exist anymore.
Well, Man City exists without a centre forward, don't they? They don't play with the number 9. They don't play. They just play as a unit and just sort of we're either going to attack or we're going to defend, but we all do it together.
Does we say hi to the people in the chats? We have
Yeah.
in there. We got Nick. Welcome in, Nick. Welcome in, Sarah.
Hiya, Nick. Hope you're all right, mate. Just take it easy. Allow that lovely jab to work its magic on you. But
That can knock you off.
Interesting that Nick's put in the chat there, and I think he's right. Because I had a conversation with my kids this week in the car, and we were talking about the Mane and Salah scenario. And I know last week I was playing devil's advocate in a way, but there's something I think something needs to change there, and I think one or the other needs to possibly be moved on. And I think for the good of the team, and I think given the way that the Fenway Sports Group run their baseball team, they're not frightened of moving people on at a great deal of profit. And I think Mane is probably the most sellable one of the two. I think as well, if he's not, there's something between the two of them, and I think, I think you can't afford to have your whole club being undermined in a way by sort of two players who are having a feud about who's going to score the most goals, and it's I don't know, it's a strange one, and I'm interested to see over the summer as to exactly where that little power struggle between the two of them goes. If they both turn up for pre-season in August and they're both playing by the end of September, then so be it. But I think there is something there.
Mane's not helping his cause to stay, if that's the case.
No,
by the performance he's done this season and his returning goals, while Salah he's just kept on being the player that he's always been.
Yeah,
this year,
I was surprised the midweek games, and I know, when we're only on a Sunday, it's quite a big step to go back to games that have happened midweek. But his reaction to Klopp at the end of the midweek game, I thought was diabolical. I really did. I felt it was bang out of order. If you've got an issue with the manager benching you because he wanted to try something different, which is the manager's job to do,
and he admits his worst year.
Yeah,
he admits it. It's like.
I thought his reaction was it stank. It really did, and to actually just turn around to your manager and just shrug him off. I thought I was surprised he played today in a way, because
I think he played today because Jota was injured.
Yeah.
I think that's why he played today. That's as simple as that. Because if Jota's fit, he's not starting.
Yeah, I think as well. It shows that Klopp's a bigger man as well, because actually he knows what is needed for that football team, and he knows just what is essential, to actually get you across the line. And he's not going to hold a personal feud, but I think it'll probably sort of be in the back of Klopp's mind, And I think if there was a doubt as to whether it was Salah or Mane's going, I don't think there's much doubt now, is there?
It's a hard one to pick for me because Mane's been great since he's been here, But if he was to pick out of this season, you'd say, well, Salah has to stay because he's the one who just kept the performances going. He's the one who's kept at his normal level, where Mane's dropped off. But I wouldn't like to see either of them go, to be honest with you, John. You get this in football where people don't like each other. You get it in work.
You're right,
but you've got to work with them. It's just one of them things that they paid an awful lot of money, and you've got to be professional. But I'll say I don't think Mane was very professional on the Thursday night after the game.
Yeah,
I didn't like his reaction, to be honest with you. I thought it was disrespectful to the manager. I thought it was disrespectful to the club. But I thought Klopp handled it well in his interview as well.
He did.
He went, there's no problem. He's been disrespecting me once. He's been disrespectful 5 million times. Why would they get upset? Basically, I thought from that is, I'm not telling you guys what I'm going to do, but I'll have a word with him when I get him in the office. I'll have a chat with him when I get him back.
Yeah. I think as well, and I think I just want to go back on the Alisson Becker goal because, strangely enough, 22 years ago, last weekend, was a day when a goalkeeper scored, and it was the final day of the old third division season. And a goalkeeper scored for Carlisle called Jimmy Glass, who saved Carlisle Football Club from being relegated out of the Football League in the 7th minute of injury time. and relegated the team that I'd been watching that afternoon in Scarborough. And it was the last ever Football League game. I actually watched Scarborough Football Club play, and they went back into the midst of non-league, and then went bust. But it's just like, it's amazing just how few goalkeepers over time have scored, and Jimmy Glass is one who I'm hoping, and Scarborough tweeted tonight, and the words in the tweet were just basically, I hope to goodness that puts to bed all the talk about Jimmy Glass. And it was just that sense of relief. There's another goalkeeper scored. But I was having a look before the show and just looking at goalkeepers in the Premier League who scored. So Peter Schmeichel was the first one to score.
Yeah.
More about him as the show goes on.
An American done it as well.
That's what I was going to say. We've got Brad Friedel.
Yeah.
Paul Robinson came up and scored. Tim Howard scored.
Howard, yeah, I was going to say with the hurricane winds behind him. Right?
It was the hurricane wind, yeah, and he didn't celebrate. I give him his due because I think he was more concerned that he'd made a fool out of the other goalkeeper. And then the other one was Asmir Begovic for Stoke, and again with strong wind. So it makes that goal today all of a more of a collector's item because. I think Robinson, Friedel, and Schmeichel had all scored a goal when they'd come up for end of the game and stuff. And again, with Becker doing it, hats off to the lad. And I'm like I say, if nobody had the chance of catching up in his interview, please do so because it was an absolutely heart-wrenching piece of TV. Because he's bottled up an awful lot of his emotions about losing his dad, and for anyone who's out there who watches it, it brings tears to the eyes, and it really does sort of tug at the heartstrings. And you're humanising some of these people who you sort of watch on the TV and play for your football clubs. And after weeks of us going on about, the money people in football, dehumanising it, taking the fans, taking the enjoyment, but to see it this afternoon and seeing the guy who'd scored a winner for his football club, and the humanisation of that, I think will stay with me for a long, long time. And I think for him, it must be such a proud moment to score a winner for your club after all those years of your dad sort of seeing you through every single level along the way. And it was again, if we want to sort of Disney-fy the whole thing, it's that end of Nemo moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
The goodbye, Dad. Thanks, Dad. And it's that bit at the end, and I think that's exactly the moment that. I think for every dad, you take your kids to the football, you see them going through every single stage of their development. And I think he probably would have really loved his dad. He'd love to have gone on the phone tonight to his dad and say, Dad has scored. Yeah. And he's not going to have that chance. And, I'm going to say it humanised football. And I was delighted to see. I was delighted to see that after the weeks that we've had where football's been so much detached from reality. That was something that's positive that's come from it. The other thing I would also add is if you ever see me driving up to Scotland and I'm on the M6 and passing the turn off for Carlisle, and you see a guy driving who's sticking the two fingers up at the left-hand side of the road, it's a standing tradition in our car. Every time we pass Carlisle, it's the two-fingered salute. We still have not forgiven Jimmy Glass ever. End of.
You'll get back in there.
Allison just had a little baby too.
Yeah.
Little. Last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seems like it was just.
Yeah, I think it was his second child. I think. Second, it was. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Liverpool. Liverpool got in by the skid. That was a really. But just before we do, that was a really important goal because. If we can get into this Champions League with the season we've had, that I would class that as successful now. I'd class that as a successful.
Well, our fate's still in our own hands. We win the last two, we're in, right?
Yeah, but we're away to Burnley on Wednesday, I think it is. You've just been done 4-0 yesterday by Leeds at home, so that means we're gonna struggle to score a goal past them.
They all turn it up on us,
yeah. And then we've got Crystal Palace at home. With the fans.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I think that's a 2-goal start, isn't it?
Yeah.
You guys going? No? You guys ain't going? No?
No.
You don't have tickets, no?
No. To be honest with you, they're not going to be able to get all the season ticket holders in there. So if you're not a season ticket holder, you've got absolutely no chance. You need to be a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
And hope that Chelsea don't win the Champions League. How did the women get on today? Because the women were playing in the Champions League final. They went
They were soundly beaten. They were 3-0 down after about 20 minutes to Barcelona.
Yeah.
You got beat 4-0 in the end. I think Barcelona went steady on them in the second half.
Must have felt sorry for them, eh?
They were different class altogether. And I'm just I'll just start it now because I would also like it putting out there. We started this conversation last week about Europe, and I've been trying all week to try and find the permutations and which I think it's seventh. I think last week we got down to 8th, and I don't think it is 8th. I think it's the 7th place team go into that conference, Europa Conference malarkey type thing. No idea. It's just a heap of money making, sort of giving up your Wednesdays and Thursdays. So fortunately, my football team decided this afternoon to unilaterally decide as a group that they didn't want to give up their Thursday nights. They obviously want to spend that at home watching the TV. And they just decided I said to Stephen before the game, I wasn't surprised that Sheffield United won today. I know, Charlie, they are your go-to team all season. But I've got to admit, at 8-1 before the game started, rather, I thought, yeah, a nice little pound bet on that. I just put that, and I don't normally bet on football, but I just knew it was going to happen. I'm sat here. I know Nick would come on and rant about Spurs if the same happened, but I knew this was going to happen. I could sense it. For the past 3 seasons, I tried to get my eldest lad to try and do the research because I was a bit bone idle on doing it myself. But over the past 3 seasons, I think last season we were beaten by each of the teams that went down. This season, we're going to be in the same boat. And it's no surprise that we got beat off Sheffield United. I don't have any qualms about it. Well done to Sheffield United. But Everton have got a massive job. And this time last week, I was just hopeful we weren't going to make Europe. They put that into their own hands this afternoon or this evening. Yeah. And just like they couldn't be bothered, and you could tell they couldn't be bothered. There was no desire, there was no will, there was no energy. There was a football team there that were just going through the motions, and as a fan, when you're looking at that to me is despicable. It's hurtful, but there's no surprise. And the best thing of all is like the lad who scored for Sheffield United. He's a young lad who's come. He's only 17. And I think, do you know something? For all they bought your man from Liverpool, was it Brewster or something, last summer for 20 million. They've got a lad coming through who looks half decent, and he's just like, he's going to be the future of Sheffield United, and that's what they need to look towards, But it's shocking, and as an Evertonian, I just think, that just about sums our season up. Just again and again, you play teams at the bottom, they don't show up, and they just get rolled over. And we've got Wolves to play on Wednesday, and then Man City next Sunday. And do you know something? Next Sunday just can't come fast enough. And I just hope we don't manage to squeak a result to get into that European slot, because there's so much work that needs doing. And I'm bereft of some words in a way without swearing.
Well, Ancelotti's.
We'll pass the watershed, John. Right?
I wouldn't do it, Stephen, because actually, I'd like people to be watching this. I'd like kids to be watching what we put out, and actually what we've, it's about football, and Everton just didn't show up. And what's going to be even more galling is if Arsenal win the next 2 games and we don't, Arsenal are going to finish above us. And that's even more of an insult.
Nick saying welcome to Israel there, John.
Totally, Nick. But you're the other one, you're in 6th. Spurs are in 6th all of a sudden. Yeah. It's that false hope again. False hope.
For me, I thought Everton made a lot of unfair forced errors today. didn't look like they wanted that game today, John. Everton. You know what I mean? I only watched bits of it. I couldn't watch it all. You know, it was like I said before, like the Liverpool game was hard to watch, but it's Liverpool, so I end up putting myself through that pain.
Is Ancelotti sticking around? Is he?
He's meant to be.
He's meant to be.
Meant to be.
I thought he was
Players.
a decent manager. Does he not have the chance to like replace some of the
It could end up with Spurs. Yeah, you could see it coming, couldn't you? You could see it coming. Another big club comes in, offers him a load of money, and it wouldn't surprise me because actually he's in need
to keep hold of him. They need to keep hold of Ancelotti because he's the type of manager that, okay, he's not at the top of his game anymore. He's dropped down a bit, but he's still the type of manager that will attract them better players to Everton, even though there's no European football, which is what you need. You need them to be able to, because Moshiri's not short of a few quid. So he'll invest in a team. He's already shown that he will do that. He's now got a manager who'll spend it right, you know, not like an Allardyce, you know, who spends it wrong, you know. So I think Everton need to do everything they can to keep hold of Ancelotti going forward because he's the right fit, the right manager for the moment that he's in at the moment. I think, you know, he's the type manager who'll attract the good players. He'll get you up there in the top 4 challenging and stuff.
Yeah, let's be honest. There's been times this season where we've been good enough, and it's always those famous words. It always comes up. If we win this game, we're either going to go above Liverpool, or if we win this game, we're going to go into the top 4. If we win this game, and it comes across these games like that. Just this afternoon, and we get beat, and I think that shows to me that there is a mental block amongst them as a group. They need to go and win something. They need to go and win repeatedly. You know, it's a case that they're fearful of overachieving. They're fearful of actually being found out as being a half decent football club. You know, there's too many players gone missing, and I'll put it out there. And for fear, if I put that at the end of the show, we'd run out of time, and I wouldn't have the right to sort of slag my own team off. And I think it's not a rant because, like I say, I saw it coming, and I'm £9 up on the day, so I'll take that.
That's against your own team.
Yeah. But he's on his way to the Spurs.
Yeah.
No. I think you'll be all right, John, for not getting Fat Sam. I think he's going to Spurs.
Could you imagine? Goodness me! I think Spurs. I think we sort of talked about this last week. Spurs need somebody to reinvigorate that football club. I listened to. I can't even remember who it was. I was driving at the time, and somebody was on the radio talking about the current. In fact, it was a guy from a Spurs fans podcast. He was on TalkSport this afternoon, and he was absolutely superb. He was very eloquent in how he came across, but he was basically saying that Ryan Mason's just been dumped in there just to get the fans on side. But he said that whoever comes in, and he doesn't know who will come in, doesn't have any idea of who wants to come in, says that they've got a massive job, and they've got a massive job to deal with players who've become very disillusioned. And I think that's the after effects of having Mourinho at your football club. And I think Man United have dealt with that by putting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in there, with help from Ferguson in the background. Whoever knows how much help he's provided, but I think there's something there where you need someone who's being a good man manager to deal with the fallout after. It seems really odd, doesn't it? You're talking about how you deal with the loss of a manager, but how you deal with players after that manager's gone, after he's totally sort of persecuted certain individuals. And
I think the biggest victim of Mourinho's time at Spurs is Dele Alli. I think how he treated Dele Alli was disgusting.
Absolutely. And I think we've said that, I think probably since our very first show.
Yeah.
I think we've been really clear in that. But I give Spurs the due this weekend. Today they've gone out and they've beaten Wolves 2-0. And Wolves are a funny team at the minute. I don't quite know where they're at. But Spurs 3 points. Dele Alli got a game. What more? It's putting results together with a team that previously were being sort of cast aside.
Yeah.
So and Bale as well. Bale was playing.
I felt for Cody on that first goal. Kane just cool as you like, when Cody went in, because I thought Cody had a really, really good game today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at it. I look at our centre halves that we've got in there, and now at Liverpool, and I think the young kids, they made some mistakes. For West Brom's goal, what was the young lad doing? They were committing themselves on the halfway line and leaving gaps at the back. Yeah. And then we've got Connor Cody who come through our ranks, and he's doing brilliant at Wolves.
But something, that's where that whole system of bringing young lads through, just if they had kept hold of Cody, and I know Cody was very much he just wanted to play football, but that little bit of perseverance and a little bit of just sort of drip feeding him into the team, and then he'd have been idyllic. You imagine him beside Van Dijk would be quite a thought. Quite a thought.
He's a cracking little player, and he was the captain of the youth team, but he played in midfield. He was a central midfield in the youth in the youth team at Liverpool. But wow, because when you look at him, he's not got the stature of what you'd say a centre half is. He looks small, doesn't he? He's only small for the centre half. He's only small, but he can't half read the game, and he can't half get in the way and block the balls, and he really is a good defender. I thought he had a really good game, and they were umming and ahhing, weren't they, who was to get the man of the match on Sky, and he ended up giving it to Cody.
Yeah,
which is a tough one, But I thought he played really well. Thought he had a really good game today.
I think as well, and it's important to understand this. I know we spoke about this 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were talking about Harry Kane and the Euros, which are coming up very, very soon. And hopefully we'll get a chance to chat with everybody throughout the Euro. So keep watching, because we will be doing the Euros and stuff. But we mentioned the fact that it was something I think Gary Neville had mentioned on TV, and that was the fact that if Harry Kane was injured, he was probably easily replaceable. But this week we saw Harry Maguire get injured for Man United, and then Man United looked as if they couldn't defend for Toffee on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. But for England in the Euros, that becomes a bigger problem as well, because Maguire getting injured, I think, is the problematic part. Just like Man United, Man United were totally all at sea. And I still don't think Cody going and playing in that role for England would be the answer of replacing Maguire. And I think Maguire is possibly the irreplaceable element, which I don't think I'd ever thought I'd see myself saying that. But Man United looked horrible on Thursday.
I thought it was a good game. Thursday's game was a good game. It was
because you won. It's always a good game when you win.
Of course, I know, because we won, but no, it was a really enjoyable game. I enjoyed watching it. It was great, especially when we were sticking all the goals in. But I thought, and Rashford too. I sing the praises of Rashford. I just think he's an amazing player. I thought he played well against us. And he took the goal well. I think with England, Maguire, you'd notice that on Thursday with him not being there and them bringing in, what was his name now? What was the name of the defender they had in there? Is it?
Oh, United.
Bailly. Bailly, what him? Yeah, he's not up to scratch, him. Like, he's not.
It's an accident waiting to happen, isn't he?
Yeah, he's rash, like. But yeah, I think with the Harry Maguire being injured, and I think there's just going to be a few more as well in the next week with injuries and that. Hopefully Kane stays fit, because he'll be the one banging the goals in. He's in really hot form this year, really pushing Salah all away for that golden boot as well. The two of them are just, if you're scoring one, I'm going to score one as well. I think the two of them have been involved in this in this roughly around the same amount of goals as well with assists. I think Harry Kane's got about one more assist than Salah, but they're on the same as goals. So they're just heavily involved with the goals all round. So
yeah. Do you know some guys?
I think we should get our pens ready, Charlie, and just make upset Nick, and we give Jagan a good letter and say, go and get Harry Kane, because you imagine them two in the same team. Wow.
And and that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
No, Nick.
I'll tell you one thing as well, and this comes from being able to watch football basically every day since whenever. I can't remember the last day there wasn't a game on. But from last weekend, we saw this with Aston Villa last Sunday. Ollie Watkins got sent off for Villa, and it signalled a massive change in attitude from referees in the Premier League. And I don't know about you guys, I've certainly noticed it. There's been a couple more occasions where players have gone down with very little contact and have been yellow carded for it. And it's seemingly, it's only taken them all season, but seemingly we've got there with only 2 games left. But players are actually getting done for pushing themselves towards the floor when there hasn't been any contact made. Do you know something? It's been such a refreshing change to actually see something being done for there being minimal contact. And I can't remember what game it was yesterday I saw, but it was great. And I just thought, do you know something? This is what we should be looking at. And this is what we should be, we should be talking about this every week, about where referees are actually getting the decision right. And they've found players that just like they've stumbled over their own big toe. And it's good. It's only noticed in the past week, and I've got to say I wanted to bring it up tonight because I thought simulation's got no part to play, and it's good to see something being done.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that one. I don't like simulation, but it's been happening for years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's crept its way into the game. I remember when the game over here, it was exclusively only British players that were playing in the league. People from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England that would be playing in the league. And then in the 90s, we had this influx of players from the continental Europe. So you had remember it was Drew Dullett that come over, and the likes that come over, and they went to the London clubs. But then you started seeing them diving and pushing over, and then you just started over the years. You started seeing your English players, your British players doing it as well, and we can go as far back as before Gerrard and Carragher's time at Liverpool. Before that you started seeing it. I'd say back in the 90s with the
definitely
like the era of Scholes and Giggs and all that. What I mean? They were the ones doing it. I'm just saying it was that particular period of time. Mr. Klinsmann.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Was it the influx of European players, or was it the influx of European coaches?
It's a different culture. It's a different culture on continental Europe. I always remember an interview that old Tommy Schmidt done. And he was talking about the guys from Inter Milan. I think he said he throttled one of them. Don't dive. It's just for me. It's just something that's crept into the game, and it's now more prevalent than ever. And I think you're right. I think players throwing themselves to the ground. And what does my head in as well is when they actually get up and start looking for them to brandish the cards because they've dived on the floor.
Yeah. Stop it. I don't know. I can see Charlie your point as well. It actually, I wonder if it is sort of foreign coaches that have been sort of in the background of this and not taking any of the flack. But it's certainly the influx of foreign players, but I think what has also happened, and this is perhaps sort of the other side of it, is when British teams have played in Europe, and when British sides have represented themselves at World Cups and Euros, it always seems to get undone. You go back to Beckham when he got done against Argentina. He just flicked out a foot, and it seems to be that continental sides always seem to get the upper hand of British teams when it came to a little bit of skullduggery. I go back to Mr. Mourinho in his first managerial role at Porto, when he shamelessly stole a European trophy from Celtic. I think it was Martin O'Neill was the Celtic manager at the time, but Mourinho just sent his team out to fall over at the most incredible things, and it was shocking. You go back and have a look at it; it was scandalous, and I think Nick, you're absolutely spot on. Look at the Leeds and Chelsea teams, particularly through the 70s. With
Leeds,
Leeds got the dirty Leeds tag way back there, and they still wear that badge as a badge of honour. And I love that. I love the fact that it was about, and Tommy Smith was another good example, Stephen. That's, Tommy Smith basically, was it Tommy Bite Your Leg Smith or something, was it? And he was just like, he knew how to put a tackle in, and you weren't going to either walk for half an hour afterwards, or you weren't going you weren't going anywhere except A&E. It's just.
Yeah, you either had the big bag of ice on after the game, or you were going in the hospitals in the ambulance going down to the hospital.
Yeah, and there's a balance to be had, isn't there? But I think it's gone too far the other way of players falling over and acting. And
what I'd like to see bring in, and this is just me thinking out loud now because it's coming in my head, is stuff like that. When you see other sports, and ice hockey has it, and rugby has it now, it's the sin bin. So if they start doing that sort of stuff, stick them in the sin bin for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The team suffers because they're down a man for 5 minutes. I
think a really good example of that, and this is again goes with that sin bin idea, is Ollie Watkins got sent off last weekend. I can't remember who Villa were playing, but actually, it wasn't the team at the time that it was. That wasn't really the issue. You got 2 yellow cards. You can't appeal a yellow card, and it was Man United, wasn't it? And the second one, it definitely wasn't. He wasn't acting, but he got sent off, right? So you then get to the realms of it goes to a sin bin. It doesn't mean that it's carried over against another team that you're battling against. Let's have a bit of flexibility in this. And I think your idea there, Stephen, of the sin bin, it penalises the team, but it also means that the team that you're playing against, it's like when you get booked, isn't it? And you're banned from a game the following game. Well, actually, the team who you're playing the following game probably rubbing their hands in glee, but it's the team that you're playing on that day that you really want the penalty to be sort of applied with. And I think that could be a way of actually moving it forward. How they do it, I don't know. I certainly know in this area we've had under 15s this season. So every age level up to under 15, the ref, if there is the opportunity to have a yellow card, it is dealt with rather than this silly system of fining kids for swearing or fining kids for bad tackles and all that. They are made to stand off the pitch for 10 minutes, and the ref times it, and then they get to come back on and stuff like that. And I think that's to me it's possibly a way that they're trialing it with kids at the minute, and a way it could move itself forward.
I think it'll work, John, because they said for years how will using technology work, because you'd have to be stopping the game. You used to use examples like rugby, American football, that used to do that. I've always done it. You say, but them games are naturally stop and start type of games anyway. They move so forward and then they start again. Where footballs are more free flowing, from end to end. It doesn't stop them until the ball goes out, kind of game. But it's working. They've shown that it works. And they're getting better at it. They'll get done while it's being handed on. So the sin bin for me is something that can work, because it's as simple as, no, you're off for 5 minutes. It's like someone going off injured. Get them off the side of the pitch, get them dealt with by the physios, and then I'll wave them back on. The sin bin can work under that regime, right? You're off for 5 minutes. Go and sit over there. I'll wave you on when you're 5 minutes up.
Go and sit on the naughty step.
Yeah, go and sit on the naughty step.
Well, it's like, the hockey, they have the penalty box, right? So you have a penalty box, and you have the ref right there that times them, said, okay, when they can go back onto the ice or onto the pitch or whatever. It's not going to be as effective, though, as, say, hockey, because hockey, you only have 5 guys on the ice at once.
So you can't be
missing a big, you're missing 1 out of 11. It's not a big deal as 1 out of 5, Yeah. So, but still, I can see how if you make it longer, instead of like a 2-minute penalty, it's like a 5-minute penalty. Then then you could see something getting done.
I think it'd work. I think it's something that we could certainly bring into the game. I don't think there'd be a problem with it. Mm-hmm. I like what Nick said there as well. Like in tennis, I know cricket does do it as well. You can challenge can't you? You can challenge
American football is the same thing as well, where you have the right to challenge a decision.
Yeah,
and you can throw a flag from the coach.
Throw
the flag and actually say, "Don't agree with it. Our guys have looked at this. We don't agree with the decision on the field. Can you go and take it to review?" And they then have to, if you're successful, I think you get your review back. Charlie, am I right in thinking that? So I think Nick's point there is absolutely spot on, and I think that's where we could actually have a much better idea of how VAR can be made to work in football.
It's a bit like, would this then bring in like the timeout stuff, into football and stuff like that? We challenge that, or can it be done the way VAR is being done at the moment, where the manager can go to the fourth official and say, "We're going to use me VAR for this. I want you to check that," and the game can still be played.
Yeah.
And if the VAR check says, "No, you were right, we should overturn that decision," then it goes back to that point. I think it's right, but
can I just move us on a little bit as well? I'm going to keep it on the VAR front a little bit. I'm not sure, Charlie, how much you got of the FA Cup final yesterday.
0.
I didn't see it. Which was a real shame, because actually, from my perspective, it was actually one of the best cup finals I've seen for a number of years. I don't know why. I've no affiliation with Chelsea or Leicester.
Because of the Brodge, right?
It was just
Brendan Rodgers.
No, it wasn't. It was just it was a really good game to watch. And I've got to say, Chelsea equalised in about the 90th minute or something. And VAR went to it. And they got the decision correct. And it was one of them. And if you're a Chelsea fan, you're probably going to say, "Oh no, they should have let it stand. It was only millimeters." But actually, the decision was spot on. And it was one of those days where you just knew that VAR was going to crop up at some point.
Yeah.
And I was just thankful. I was thankful that Leicester had actually scored one of the best cup final goals with Tielemans, and then also their goalkeeper. I know we mentioned his dad earlier on,
Michael.
But Kasper Schmeichel
saves. Wow,
two saves, which actually were just absolutely incredible. And I think that's why I enjoyed the game, because it was on such a knife edge. And you get a fantastic goal. You get a goalkeeper who's just playing out his skin, and also it was just one of them games that you knew that was so tight. And it was just, that VAR decision was just like one of them ones you're just thinking, that was the final bit that you just wanted in the melting pot.
Yeah.
But it was correct. It was the right decision. And I was pleased at that, because I would have hated another scenario this season to be down the line of an incorrect VAR decision. And I think given this week, we've had a couple I think there's a couple this week that have been very dubious. Again, the Ollie Watkins one, where he got clattered from Henderson at Man United on, I think it was Tuesday night. I didn't think VAR should have stepped in there. It really should have done, But don't know. It was a fantastic cup final, and I've got to take my hat off to Leicester. I had a bit of a spat with my cousin over a collective. We have a collective group chat, and my cousin had text after about 5 minutes in, just, I hate, and he's an Everton fan, so he hates Leicester because you've got your man Brendan Rodgers there, And I just had him on it, and I said, like, you've got no reason to not like Leicester, and it was, I've got to say, Leicester actually at the other side of everything that we've spoken about money being in the game. They treated the death of their owner with such amazing dignity. They haven't gone and spent massive money, and to see Jamie Vardy playing in an FA Cup final, and the stat was, I think he's the first person to have played in every single round of the FA Cup, and that goes from the whatever it is, 5th qualifying round.
Wow.
Onwards, and he used to play in the lower leagues. Jamie Vardy, he got into.
He's played in all the qualifying rounds. He's played in the first and second round, and now he's played in the final. And I just thought, for kids that are coming up and are coming through the ranks at non-league level, to see that story. It's like Royal Rovers stuff,
It
and
is.
I just think it just added. It was just one of them things that just sort of sent goosebumps up you, just because it was just like, yeah, what an achievement. And he was like a kid. Once that final whistle went, he just was going mad. Because, for like we said about Alisson Becker, you've got your parents who take you to all these games all the way through your career, and then you get to a culmination on a day like that, and it was just like top notch. And Leicester just have dealt with everything in such a dignified way. And I've got to say that I just thought it was such a fitting tribute for them to have gone from winning the Premier League when everyone thought they didn't, wouldn't ever have got there, to yesterday winning an FA Cup. And they all knew. Sarah said there about the owner's son. It was just amazing. And I think it's little stories like this that we need to just sort of keep reminding ourselves. Keep reminding ourselves that this is why we all support football clubs that we do, why we enjoy football, why we've got a love of the game. It's not about the big money stories, not about the big money men. Yesterday, I've no fans in the stadium. It was amazing. And
they let the fans in the stadium yesterday?
Yeah.
There was, I can't remember, 21,000 or something. There was or 20-odd thousand.
It wasn't a full ground, but we're starting to ease. Restrictions are starting to ease. So as of Monday, Charlie, we officially come out of lockdown on Monday, but not fully. There's still some restrictions. So we'll be able to get back to the pub again. We'll be able to get back to the restaurants and eating out, and the stadiums will allow up to 10,000 people in each stadium as of next week. So next week's game at Anfield, you'll have 10,000 people in there. So it's good. It's good to see that we're going that way. Although they have come out with a bit of a scaremongering effort this week, the government, over the Indian variant, and saying that, it might not be we go into full-on all restrictions gone in June. And I'm thinking, get back in your box.
Yeah. Not to sidetrack this, but how long have you not been able to go out to restaurants?
Since November.
Yeah.
Since November. It's so weird. It's like we've been going out to eat pretty much normal for it's probably since last June or whatever. It's it's been forever. It's it's weird how different places are reacting differently, and it's just wow.
I don't know where it's coming from. For me, it was managing. The people were managing it. You wore your mask, you went into the restaurant, you social distance. It was working, but again, there was a lot of people going into hospital, so they had to do something about it. The NHS was stretched. Now you're not getting that. You're getting a lot more people vaccinated. I mean, Nick's been vaccinated. That's why he's not on, because he's poorly from the vaccination. I've been vaccinated now, so it's getting us young ones now, John.
Hey, there you go. You see? I'll be having my second one soon. Sorted.
Nice knowing you, John. Good luck.
Yeah. See, the thing is, though, Charlie, once I get my second one, I've got a much better chance of actually going on holiday, and I'd actually begin to start thinking I can actually get across to the States, and that's the bit I think for so many.
Yeah, there's some politics going on between the UK and the States. Have you noticed? Both countries are flying ahead with the vaccination. The States haven't put us on the green list, and we haven't put the States on the green list either. So we're going to go to the amber. States are on amber. If you come from the States, you got to quarantine for 10 days when you come back, or you're allowed out a little bit earlier if you get a test and you're negative.
Yeah.
But come on, to be honest with you, there's two countries that are flying ahead with the vaccinations. It's the UK and the US. They're both flying ahead with it. Yeah. I don't like politics. I don't want to bring it into
politics, exactly.
No, but I think as well, and I think we look at what you guys across in the States, Charlie, have actually taken a very rational route of this. And again, because we're all Disney fans, what we're looking at, and loads of the streams, live streams in particular, where we're watching people going and enjoying being in the parks again, and doing it really sensibly.
Yeah,
and yet we're in a position in this country were basically being sort of told that we can't go and do that, and it's frustrating. And I think it's got to the stage now where it's affecting a lot of people.
Well, there's a lot of protests now, isn't there, John, going on?
Yeah. And I think, and I'd also say, Stephen, there's a lot of people who are not in a position to protest who are suffering. You know, I think last week was it Mental Health Week in this country, and I think we've really got to put it out there that this lockdown has really put so many people through the mincer, and played games with their minds that had been totally unfair.
I know. You have people who have they might have like a wife and a couple of kids. They're hanging out in the house. They're not alone, but you have some people that don't have anyone living with them. They are stranded by themselves, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just imagine. I can feel the weight that must be on them. Just the loneliness. It must be insane. You know, that's the people they need to think of.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, Charlie, and that's what needs to be coming. And you know, the governments need to just start easing it and keep going with the road path that they're doing it, because at the moment the figures are all still going low. Even with this new variant coming in, it's still all low. Vaccinations are working. That's just the way it is. More people are vaccinated than not now in this country. I think we just breached the 50% mark in terms of how many people have been vaccinated.
And I think as well, and I think seeing people back in football stadium
be great. I can't wait.
As of the FA Cup final yesterday and this week, it's just such an uplifting thing that you can actually see there's a bit more positivity. We all need it. We all need that sort of that step forward. And hopefully, Charlie, at some point soon, they'll actually trust us enough to get on an aeroplane.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I don't wish to talk about politics, but again, seeing the fans in Wembley yesterday was such a massive thing. And for them to see such a fantastic cup final, I just thought, it is brilliant. My son had actually found something on Twitter. I've not found it myself, but he regaled me with a story of a Leicester fan who had been given tickets, or he got tickets for the game, and he actually passed away on Friday at the age of 67. Lifelong Leicester fan, etc. And Tielemans scored the goal in the 67th minute.
Really?
And the Leicester fans had already agreed that they were going to have some form of celebration at that point. Whether it's true or whether it's fake Twitter news, who knows? But you know something? That's the kind of news I really have enjoyed this weekend. It's looking at these positive things. Starting with that Alisson Becker, the whole of these things. This is why we support our football clubs, and you know something? Leicester really deserve to win the FA Cup, and I love stories like that, because I think even watching Gary Lineker on the telly yesterday, for all he was an Everton player, for all he was a Spurs lad, and for all he played for Barcelona, he is still Leicester through and through. And when they scored, he just went wild. And I just thought, that's what it means to us all. It doesn't matter whether you're the presenter of the TV programme. It means so much to us. And I don't know, I just thought it was really brilliant. I love seeing it. And, I think he's probably had a sore head all day today. I've not heard much from him.
Isn't he the one that went, he got naked down to his shorts when they won?
Yes, when they won the Premier League. He promised if Leicester won the Premier League, I'll do the end of the season match of the day in my boxer shorts. And he did. I was like, well, fair play to you, sunshine.
That's a good thing. That's a good positive thing, that, John, because I think when we were talking over the last few weeks how they lose in touch with the fans and stuff like that, I think it was more aimed at these billionaires who come into it and stuff like that. But I like to see the way that the players and the fans still have that connection, So you had that with what have you just said there? So you had it with the Leicester fans, Leicester players with I can't stop the blow.
Now because he played for Everton, when we were good.
I just think he's too political, and he just needs to keep his head out of it. Yeah. But the way they did that for the fan, 67 minute that he said they were going to do it. You seen on Thursday. I don't know whether you've heard, the young lad from Blackpool.
Yeah.
Young kid, Liverpool fan, got hit by lightning, died. So the Liverpool fans on the Thursday night wore a shirt with a number and his name on the back.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a disconnect between the players and the fans. I think it doesn't matter which club you go to. I think you'd always see that connection between the players and the fans, particularly when they're in the stadium. Because when they score, the first thing that the players do is run over to the fans. I think you've always had that connection, which is great to see, and long may it continue. So yeah, it was a good thing to end on, but we haven't done the Mickey or the Goofy. I've got a couple of teams written down. To be honest with you, Mickey, I've got a couple that we could give it to, but Alisson tugged at my heartstrings today. I didn't even know it was a crap game.
I don't know. I quite fancy giving and it goes against the fact it's not a Premier League game.
Yeah.
But Leicester, for the way that they just completely played football, and it was just such a great game of football for the FA Cup. Whether or not we're allowed to count it because it's an FA Cup game, I don't
know. I think you can. Because, to be honest with you, Leicester was my other one. I had Leicester and Liverpool. I had Leicester for the obvious reasons. Won the FA Cup. It was a good game of football. It was a cracking goal, and it was the first ever FA Cup. They've never won the FA Cup before.
No. There's quite a lot of stats along the way there as well, Stephen, and I think I know I mentioned about my own team earlier on about not knowing how to win, and Leicester actually brought Wes Morgan on, and for those of you who know Wes Morgan, even when they won the Premier League, he wasn't the most mobile or the quickest, but he was part of a team that actually knew how to get the job done and went on and win the league. And he came on yesterday, and he's less quick. And he's less mobile than he was then. But he came on and he still had that whole thing. He wants to be part of the club. He's part of a group of players that Leicester can't get rid of. I could actually see Kasper Schmeichel going on and managing Leicester in years to come.
Yeah.
Because they are totally ingrained in what they've been through as a group. And I just thought, they know how to win. And that's possibly seen them through some really bad times, and I don't know. It's what my club's crying out for. Is that sort of that killer touch and that ability to come through adversity and actually just win when it bloody matters. Don't ask for much.
Special Hercules award for Alisson, though.
Definitely. And
Nick is being Goofy for Spurs just because.
Nick, he won. You don't deserve the Goofy award. The Goofy award for me is going to Everton Football Club and the players who played tonight because they weren't fit to wear the shirts. That's
my Goofy is Man United for Thursday's game when Liverpool showed who they really are. They Manchester just. They're not as good as their record, I don't think. They have some good players. They're playing better than last season, but I still think when they're up against Liverpool, we kill them pretty much every time. And it's just and we beat them at Old Trafford or wherever it is. Yeah. And I think they get the Goofy award this week.
Good show.
I am a little biased, a little bit biased there, yeah.
I can see why you're saying that, Charlie, because actually they looked as if they'd never played together before, and that's what surprised me. They were so far off the pace. It was just like, Chelsea.
Really offside. His armpit was offside. That's what was offside. His armpit.
Do you know something? That was one of the funniest things about that yesterday is the fact because it was right on the edge of the penalty box. So you, rather than relying on VAR for drawing lines and being accused of the lines being slightly sort of misaligned or whatever, the great conspiracy theorists of the world saying, "Oh, there was a zigzag there, so he was actually onside," that stuff. But it was right on the penalty box, and so when you saw it for the first time live, you knew he was off. You actually knew that he was actually offside, and when you got it back on the VAR. And it was offside. just like being a linesman. It's just like you put your flag up, it's offside, and I don't know. I'm with you there, Nick. But I don't think Chelsea are deserving of it because they actually played half. They were playing half decent. It takes two teams to play in a decent cup final.
Nick just wants Chelsea to get a Goofy award because he just
I know he does. So it's not Spurs.
So it's between Man United and Everton because I had one there. I don't think it can compete with them two nominations. I had West Ham for just falling away. And do
you know, I thought about them as well. Stephen. I've been so thrilled at how West Ham have played this season, and to see them just fall apart at the last bit. And again, they didn't look as if they cared about it yesterday, and that would hurt me as a West Ham fan as much as getting beat off Sheffield United with Everton today.
Are they going to keep Lingard? West Ham.
He goes back to Man United, doesn't he? At the end of the season, does he? Now he's only on loan.
He does, and also his form's dropped off as well.
Oh yeah.
I think.
I don't know. He got Player of the Month, John, for last month, and the Goal of the Month.
Yeah,
one of your favourite managers got Manager of the Month as well. Steve Bruce got Manager of the Month.
I tell you, good job. We weren't doing a show when that announcement was made because and fair play because on Twitter somebody noticed it straight away. So I know we're going off. I'm going to go off a tangent. So Steve Bruce wins Manager of the Month. So there he is with his award. Ta-da! It's all about me. No mention of Graham Jones, who's been there for the past 6 to 8 weeks, who's completely turned around how they coach the players and stuff like that, and I think is worthy of that. But it's also the fact that Steve Bruce just had a picture of him on his own, whereas Rafa Benitez, when Benitez won about 2 or 3 Managers of the Month, he had his whole coaching staff in that photo. And does that not? That to me shows you a little bit more about the man. And I know everybody else don't particularly have a lot of time for Steve Bruce, but you can't be that egotistical that you're going to claim it's all about you when you've had another lad dropped in who's got manager potential as well. And Graham Jones has done a great job there. And I think if people start digging a little bit beneath the surface, it's not about Steve Bruce at all. But hey, they've been kept up. The miracle yet again of Mike Ashley getting another year's worth of Premier League prize money. Another reason for me to moan about all next season. But hey,
Steve Bruce is staying.
We'll leave that. We'll leave that for next season. Yeah. I'll park it for now.
So who's getting Goofy? So we've got Everton and we've got Man United. I'm obviously going to be biased. Be honest with you, it's going hard to me because it's between Everton and Man United. Which one do I give this award? I'm gonna side with Charlie this week, John, and say I think Man United should get it because they were just absolutely awful on Thursday. But but that's probably been a bit harsh on Liverpool because I thought Liverpool on Thursday looked like the Liverpool they were last season. In glimpses of, thought they were really good going forward, and young Nat Phillips, after scoring that own goal, being involved in the equaliser was great.
Do you know something as well from my perspective of looking at Nat Phillips, and he's a player I like. I think he's got tremendous potential, but from scoring that own goal, you could see his whole body and his whole mind within his own body. He was going to atone for that mistake, and in everything he did. And I just thought, that's something that you can't actually coach that into young lads. He wanted to do something about that mistake, and
exactly.
It was brilliant. It was lovely to see, and I think he's a real potential. He's got real potential for the future as well.
Yeah, I like his fight. I would put him with Van Dijk before Gomez. Matip's always getting hurt, so but I like the fight in Phillips. I like how he really he wants to win every single head ball. He wants it. And you can see he wants it really, really bad. Yeah,
I thought he's still got a lot to learn because again today he was guilty of committing himself on the
definitely.
He was guilty of that. same as Reece Williams as well. He was guilty of it, and he got punished by the goal. You know, but that's only going to come with experience. And if either of them two guys were stood next to Virgil van Dijk, they wouldn't have been committing themselves on them halfway lines. Yeah. They just wouldn't have been allowed to. He wouldn't have allowed that. He'd have said, "You get back here. No, don't be doing that. Stay." You know, and I think that's why Joe Gomez has excelled in such a short time, because he played alongside Virgil pretty straight away.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, that's it. And I would say we've gone 10 minutes over, guys. Again.
Just happens.
Right, anyway, until next week. See you later.
Thanks for joining us.